A very good afternoon to one and all. Welcome to the online capacity building workshop for teachers in higher education. And this is for the teachers working in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. I hope all of you are having a great learning experience. And I also hope that each one of you is actively participating in this workshop. There are two important announcements that I'd like to make here. The first important announcement is that you'll all be evaluated. We will evaluate the extent of your learning in these workshops. Do not worry more, because we are just going to ask you a few questions in each of the session that you are now hearing. And then depending upon your grading, we are going to give you different types of certificates. And I hope that you will enjoy the learning process even more, because anyway, you're all listening to all the classes very attentively. And we are glad that you are listening to all the classes very attentively and very participatively. At the same time, I also would want to assess the extent of your attentiveness. That is the only reason why we are asking for this evaluation. Do not worry more about the evaluation. Just continue to listen to the sessions even more attentively. Now, the second important announcement is that you're going to be given the feedback at the end of the session. Not this session, at the end of the entire workshop. That is on 25th of March, you're going to be given a feedback wherein we're going to ask you to evaluate the different resource persons who have come and interacted with you on all these days. So that would be a just formality, and those who complete their evaluation process and those candidates who fill out and submit the feedback form will be given the certificate. So let's start the fourth day of our fruitful sessions. Now, yesterday you were all listening to Professor Deepa, and you also know that we have got the same resource person even today. That is Professor Deepa Sikkan. She is Professor and Head Department of Education, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. Madam doesn't need any introduction, because you were with Madam for the whole of 2 hours yesterday, listening to her very attentively and participatively. Now, we will request Madam to continue the session. And in today's session, you're going to be given certain insights into the guidelines and templates for design and development of a blended learning lesson. Now, this week, usually you all have been listening to the lectures, but next week we're going to have more of practical sessions. We're going to have more of hands-on training. So just sit back and listen to the lectures and specifically the lecture that is being live streamed today. And we have been receiving requests on WhatsApp asking for the PowerPoint presentations which you have been viewing these days. So we have shared the day 1 and day 2 PowerPoint presentation. And these lectures were given by Professor B. Rajshekhar from the University of Hyderabad. We have sent these as WhatsApp messages to the groups that we have created. So you have 2 days sessions where PPTs with you. Now, after the end of this session, when we have the PPT for day 3 and day 4, these also will be shared to you in your WhatsApp group. Not only this, because we said that you are going to be evaluated, we do not want to catch you unaware. So we are going to share all the video lessons, all the lessons that you are listening to, and all these videos will be shared to you in your WhatsApp group. So you can listen to the participants, to the resource persons again and again, in case you want to have a better idea of what they are saying and you want to gain more clarity on the topics that were being discussed. Now, if we have got Professor Deepa online, I would request Professor Deepa to please take over the proceedings. Do we have Professor Deepa online, please? Okay, I think we will just wait for some more time for Professor Deepa to join us. Now, in the meanwhile, if you have got any queries, if you want to ask anything, now is the time for you. We have got the Director, Center for Staff Training and Development here with us. He is going to answer all your queries in case you have them. So please ask your queries in the chat box in case you have any of the any queries that you want to be answered. Okay, so we will keep your queries for the session or for the end of the session now because Professor Deepa has joined us, I'm assuming. Professor Deepa, are you there? Welcome, Professor Deepa. Maybe you're on mute, ma'am. Could you please unmute you?
Unmute.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. We can hear you. You can start now. Thank you.
Okay. So good afternoon, all the participants on this platform. I took 5-7 minutes as we are having Holi day in our state, Punjab state. I do not know whether you know about that festival. It's a festival of colors, and the whole department was busy in celebrating that. So I took time to join you. I am given permission to share the screen, right? Please give me permission to share the screen. Pallavi ji, you need to give me permission to share my screen. Host has disabled the participant screen sharing.
Just a minute, ma'am.
Okay, no issues. In the meanwhile, I would like that today we are going to understand how we can customize the template, or you may say blended learning design for our own classroom teaching. Right. So I will share that how I have customized, but before that I will
You can share your screen, ma'am.
Okay. Fine, let me find out. So I can share my screen. Blended learning photos. Okay. So today I'll put off my video. Right. Share. Okay. Let me see.
Yes, ma'am. We can view your screen.
You can view the screen, right? Is it visible? It is.
Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
Okay. Fine. 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 Wait a moment. Is my screen sharing gone?
Ma'am, it is still there, ma'am. It is still there.
Okay. Fine. I just wanted to have my resources in front of me. So we are to, yesterday we talked about blended learning, various models. Today we will understand practically how the things are possible in a classroom. Okay. So I simply wanted, before we undertake the template, let us understand what are the technological aspect in blended learning. Yesterday I told you that we all should be ready with our content, course content, right? I hope you all are having course content in front of you, right? And for that course content, you must have framed the learning objectives. Okay? Since I'm a teacher of psychology, I have a course content with me, I framed my objectives, and suddenly the pandemic came. And all the schools, all the universities, all the departments were closed. And I was not able to find out how to connect to my students. So I had learning objectives before pandemic, but during pandemic, I realized I have to change my learning objectives. So I changed my learning objectives in terms of outcomes and not outputs. That was the first thing I did. I changed my learning objectives from outcomes to outputs. What is this outcomes to outputs? Because before pandemic, when I was teaching the paper psychology to my AMED students, I was asking them the content-based questions. I was testing them how much they have learned, how much they can repeat and write in the exam. Output. I gave them input, I took outputs. But when pandemic came, I changed my objectives in terms of outcomes and not outputs. Then I learned one thing more. What is my learner's profile? Learner characteristics I already knew because they were my old students. But the learner location was the additional thing which I added. Learner location. Why I had to add it? Because now I was connecting with them through online modes. So I had to understand what is their location, how I can connect to them through online resources. So I need to understand, I had to understand that what is their available resources. So these two things got important, although the whole plan was as such. If you go offline, you have to understand the content, nature of the content. You have to frame objectives for the content for your classroom teaching learning. You understand learner's profile, but in this offline mode, two things were customized to go for online mode. One was my concern got deepened that what is my learner's location? And the second concern got deepened that what are the available resources for my learner's location? So this was the major concern. Then I went to find out what are the tools and resources available. And you know, in the month of March 2020, by the end of March 2020, I realized that I have got only two resources. One was email. And other was, one was email, and the other was, it's not written here, it was WhatsApp. So you can see that I only knew about these two resources. I only knew about these two resources. I was not knowing there is any Google Classroom. I was not knowing that I can use YouTube links also. I was not knowing what is Zoom platform. I was not knowing Microsoft Teams, though I was knowing Skype because sometimes I used to interact with professors of outside university on Skype. I was not knowing Moodle. I was not knowing Blackboard, though I was knowing internet, but I was not knowing how to use it in my classroom teaching learning. Do you find that among this list, which is available today to us, I only knew two ways to connect to my students in March 2020. That was, one was email, another was WhatsApp. So I used to send mail to my students, and sometimes I used to connect with them at WhatsApp. I used to send a topic to them. I used to take up conference call with them by making groups. And I used to discuss. I didn't know how I should connect to my class. But today we are having all these tools with us. I hope you must be using these tools in your classroom. So I told you here that two things were great concern to me. Today also, these two things are great concern to us while going for blended learning designs in our classrooms. One is learner's location, that is available resources. And learner's location was known to me. They were my local students, and the available resources were email and WhatsApp. I didn't know much more than that. Then another question which came in front of me was how, even if I use email and WhatsApp, what exactly I'm going to do in the classroom with those two tools. What I'm going to do. Because sometimes students used to say there is an internet connectivity issue, and they could not even send WhatsApp. They used to send SMS. So I realized what I'm going to do. Am I going to take up teaching learning? Or I'm going to give them questions, ask them to frame notes, or I'm going to manage their learning for the examination. I didn't know whether we will take up examinations or not. There were so many uncertainties around us, everybody, every teacher. And I looked for this, whether the blended learning, now today I'm discussing this, whether blended learning can be used for management of learning. It can be used for orchestrated learning, meaning thereby when we ensure the student should participate. Orchestrated, orchestra, team of orchestra. They're all performing, participating, collaborating. The student should collaborate on different networks. Today I'm thinking, but I could not think in the month of March 2020. I will tell you what I could think then and how with time it has improved. Then how to go for authentic learning. If I say, okay, you search on Google, you come out with the information and the content, but how to depend on that? Because that time we never knew about Creative Commons. Today we know that. So in March 2020, that was a very black scene. Why we should think of blending? Because when March completed, April came up, again there was a lockdown, and we started feeling insecure how our students will complete the syllabus, how they will appear in the exams, how they will perform in the exams, how we are going to teach them, how they are going to learn. So many issues were going on in our minds. Today, we think that why we should have blended learning. The pandemic has passed, but you never know. Some other dire situation comes up. So we should have blended more. This pandemic taught us one more thing, that not only blending is necessary for your classroom learning designs, but the flexibility with keeping your outcomes intact, is also essential. Flexibility. Now, flexibility to what? In what sense? Flexibility in what sense? Flexibility with respect to time? That's one thing. Flexibility with respect to performance, that you may perform this month or next month. Flexibility with respect to the activities, learning activities designed for the learners. And there are 20 activities designed for the learners. And learners are expected to perform any 5. This much of choice of activities. Flexibility. 1. Second, blended learning gives you the platform for flexibility to the extent that those learning activities learner can perform in their place where they are residing, location, learner's location, or they can come to your place, teacher's place, and they can perform the activity. So this flexibility, blended learning, today is giving us. How we learned that? Because all students, all the learners were stuck up at their places. And we wanted it. Now, how it came to me, how this idea came to me,
because I was handling one of their papers at post-graduation level was field engagement with community. So all the learners, they were asking me how we can perform field engagement, how we will do that. So I looked into the syllabus, the contents, and then I realized that my intention is that these outcomes should be achieved by the learner. These particular skills should be enhanced in the learners. My intention is not that they should come to my place or they should come to university and perform in the specified regions. That is not my intention. My intention is that they should perform with respect to the attainment of the outcomes. So first time I said, yes, we can customize our field visits with respect to the location you are in. You perform these activities wherever you are and submit on this particular template with this particular guidelines. Now that was first time I did with my class. And then I realized that this blended learning helps you to customize the things not only in your instruction, but it helps you to customize in real situations as well. So with this, one thing came up, that it is very strong learning designs will help, which helps you in providing differentiated instruction. Now here, what is differentiated instruction? That with respect to the places, students sitting at their own places, whether they were in villages, whether they were in distant cities, whether they have gone to their parents' place or grandparents' place, while sitting there, they could perform. One. Second, the students who were very slow learners, they could also perform. The students who were very fast learners, they could also perform. The students who had proficiency in one particular language, they could also perform. And students weak in that particular language, they could also perform. No, differentiated instruction. So blended learning gives you to blend not only of an online resources, but in your teaching learning process, it helps you to blend in terms of place, in terms of real situations, in terms of learners' capacities and capabilities. This, today we can say about this, but in April 2020, that was a part of experiment if all could perform, and the results were really good. So this yesterday also we discussed that it is a paradigm shift. Teacher has become a coach and learner has become self-controlled learner. Self-controlled learner. Yeah, very important. When we will practice, I'll show you how I have done in my classroom. Very important thing is how you bring humaneness to teaching while blending. How you bring humaneness to teaching. So when you interact on the platform with the students, with your learners, that very movement brings, creates a motivational learning. When you start interacting in the class, when you start talking online. Now, just go back to April, May months. So many small videos used to come on WhatsApp. People were educating each other like anything. They were telling, this is how you cook. This is how you make tea. This is how you make masalas. This is how you, these are the movies you should go through. Lots and lots of groups were made on WhatsApp. And lots of information was coming. And even today, I realize that whenever, even if you are sitting alone, when you open up some video on your WhatsApp, what happens? You start interacting, enjoying, isn't it? You laugh. Sometimes you cry also. When you look at the small videos coming on your WhatsApp. So that component told that even if it is online, you can bring humanness to teaching. You can make the teaching interactive. There is nobody to interact. It's your phone, it's WhatsApp, but on WhatsApp, you're having a small video. And that video, when you watch that video, you are giving expressions. Oh, yeah, that's good. That's informative. Oh, look here, come here. See what they're talking. See what it is telling. Isn't it? So you alone are sitting on WhatsApp, but suddenly you start interacting with everybody. Even you interact with yourself. You laugh, you cry. And sometimes you customize your things also after going through that small bits of informations. It means it's not like that if we go online, we will become inhuman. No. If you go online, you have to make your content interactive. Now, interactive, how interactive? The way the small informations comes on your WhatsApp. Then this blended learning enhances individualism, personalization, and relevance. These are the three important features, characteristics associated with blended learning. Now you see into your course content, whether your objective is to develop individual characteristics, whether your objective is that individuals should learn the relevancy of the content, which I told you that you have to write about your course outcomes or your classroom outcomes. It was here? Yes. I told you about outcomes. Now here, you have to mention what precisely you want. After going through this particular content, your learner will perform. In blended learning, we do not ask for write the definitions, explain the phenomena. We go a bit higher. That after going through the definitions, the contents, the phenomena, how you correlate with your life. How you correlate with your life. So this blended learning gives you the scope to directly correlate with your life. And not only this, what you did during those pandemic times, after I think June, Zoom meetings started. But up to June, it was very, very difficult how to connect. We connected through WhatsApp or emails. And during that time, if we used to do something new, we used to learn. Then again, we used to watch what happened, where we laughed. And again, we used to practice, be it the work in the kitchen, be it the work in with the cleaning of the house, be it the work with the management of your items in the house, be it small stories which you watch again and again, be it the movies, whatever. Wherever you find that it is something unfamiliar, unknown, you used to watch it. Am I right or wrong? You used to watch it. You used to reflect it. You used to redo it. So this component gave one chief character to blended learning, that you can create your own relevance by customizing the things. You can create your own relevance by customizing the things. Then after that Zoom came, Zoom classroom meetings started, we also started interacting face-to-face. When Zoom came, so many challenges came. So many challenges. Now, similar is the case in blending. In blending, so many challenges are there. And what happened? What happened? We, as a novice learners with online designs, we started learning everything and everything and everything. All types of learning management systems we were trying to know. A time came when we were awfully running after Moodles, how to learn Moodle, how to understand this learning management system, how to work on it. We all started working. And we realized that to work on these, to learn these, to know about this, so much of things online, we need to have funds. We need to have motivation. And then we have to find out the standards. And on the same side, we need to have the knowledge of basic skills required for online learning. I'll not say online teaching, because we all became learners. Even the teachers, they became learners, because they were not having those skills, those initial skills which were required to go for online teaching. So even they became learners. Now, with this whole scenario, it was very difficult to take up the blending. We were not able to do that. We were not able to understand that. We were after learning management systems, knowing about them. We were trying to look for the computer sector to give us budget-friendly gadgets. Even the workers of, even the menial staff of the institutions, they had to purchase mobiles for themselves, for their children, to undertake online classes. And everybody was looking towards the computer sector, computer engineers, computer software engineers, to develop user-friendly user-friendly devices, user-friendly programs. So many applications, they started coming up. So the question came, when so many people have to undertake the online teaching and learning, then how internet can help us. Then it started working for improving the bandwidth. You see how things evolved within a span of 1 year. How the things evolved within a span of 1 year. Now when March 2020 pandemic came, we were formally introduced to few things online. We knew how to go for Wikipedia, Google searches. We knew how to send emails. We knew how to go on Facebooks. We knew how to talk on Twitter. We knew how to go online messenger and chat box. We knew WhatsApp, but we never knew how we can use all them in the teaching learning process. How we can use all of them to blend, to create a blended learning design, to create a blended teaching design. Teaching designs are now at the back front. Today we are talking of learning design. So we knew, we were on Facebook, on Twitter, email, Google, Wikipedia, but we never knew how we can use them in our classroom teaching learning. And when thafter June we realized we cannot go to our classrooms to teach, how to take up so much chunk of information, syllabus, how to complete that, how to undertake admissions, how to launch our courses, how to get the admissions done, how to bring students in virtual classrooms. These questions started coming up, and slowly experimentation started. I remember one of my students, MSc Computer Science, he said, ma'am, we can have Facebook group. We can limit that groups to our classmates, and we can interact on that. We can put. Although number of experiments were going on in my department. So one of my scholars was working on digital story board. And they said, we can use this digital storyboard for connecting with the students online. We experimented that also. So from July to December 2020, lot many things came up to be experimented. And I also attended number of workshops, number of conferences for hybrid and blended learning in the classroom. We are yet to do it, I would say. We are yet to do it. Students, they don't want to come to the classroom. Now, it's getting difficult for, at least it's my experience, it's getting difficult for me that students come every day in the class. They say, ma'am, in weeks, we can come for 2 or 3 days. The rest of the day, ma'am, we can go online. Ma'am, instead of living in hostel, I can perform this internship program at my particular place with all your guidelines, and we can have mentor from that place. Every day they're having suggestions to me. Why? Because they could relate that if we could learn and we could perform exams and we can pass out, we can have degrees during total closure, then why can't we have that mode at this, when it is open? We can have that mode. So this is how the things have started moving towards blended learning designs. And let me share with you the template. This is the blended learning template, lesson planning template. Before I discuss this Indian framework, I would like you to go through these advantages. Why I have skipped those slides? We have already discussed yesterday so many things about it. Let's understand the advantages of creating these learning designs. The advantages, number one advantage is we are moving from belief-based to design-based. Belief-based, we believe students learn when we teach, isn't it? All teachers have a belief that they can learn only when we teach. So we have moved to design-based approach. That when the various designs are available to students, they can learn on their own. There's no need of a teacher there. Teacher has to be in the green room. Green room is the room of the theater, where you prepare, you act, you take the attire, you dress up yourself for everything to perform on the stage. So you have to work in that room, design for the learners, and design in such a manner that the learners are able to perform according to their potentials and according to their resources. So this is the major advantage, that we have shifted from belief-based to design-based. It's not like this: if you will teach, only then they will learn. If you do not teach, even then they will learn. Because lots of material is present in the form of blended learning designs. So this is these advantages we must know before we go for the I hope I am audible. Suddenly there was some connectivity issue. I hope I am audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So this is the model which is very complexly used by people of science background. Let me now share my classroom with you. I hope you all work on Google Classroom. Yes, no?
Participants kindly respond in the chat box.
We all work on Google Classroom. Yes. Okay. So many are there. Again, I lost my connection.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, you are online now.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Now, let me go back to the first slide where I was trying to tell you that how we are going to work in our India circumstance. But why I'm not finding your faces?
We can see you, ma'am.
Okay. I'm not able to see you. Okay, if you can see me, it's fine, but I'm not able to see you.
We can see you, ma'am, and we can hear you.
I mean, my screen is visible to you, is it?
Screen.
Yes.
Are you sharing the screen, ma'am?
Yeah, I was sharing.
Not it, ma'am.
It's not visible. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
You see, I just wanted to show you how the thing started. You see, this is Google Classroom. This is Google Classroom. And during the first few months, I could not join with my students. And it was in the month of October, I started with my students. And I didn't know how to make it interactive. But my first message was that we are having issues with all of you joining in the class. And we have been conversing through written WhatsApp messages. And now we are on Google Classroom. So I told them that we are not going to have connectivity issue with you. Right? Now, I could not make it blended. I was talking to them, they were responding to me. I was giving lectures to them. There is, Google Meet also. When you go on Google Classroom, you have a Google Meet and you go online with them. But I was not able to find that how I should see their performance. Again, there's some problem. Hello.
Miss Sumulata, Dr. Sumulata, kindly stop sharing the screen.
Stop participating with it.
Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Again, somebody's, I think some Sumanlata is presenting.
Yeah.
Sumanlata, you may present. I don't mind, but if you've got my screen to share, only then, please. No. Achha. Okay. So that's better. You spotlighted my videos for everybody. Now, the question was coming to my mind was that how I should work with my intentions also that I want students to respond, to perform. And I started identifying the resources, and I started identifying how I can make it learner-centered. So what I did, I used to have interaction with them. I used to have Google Meet with them. And then I used to pose questions. And you may find here that the students were asked to write the questions. And I used to comment that how you have to respond to these questions. Now, this is the model I was telling you. I was sharing with you the model, right? This model, EPSET. This is the model which we use in our Indian conditions, Indian circumstances. So I realized that I have to identify and I have to make it learner-centered. So the first thing was I made it learner-centered and I started posing questions to them. And then I asked one of my students to upload the assignment in this Google Classroom. So this is how she did that. She had question, she has written that question, and I asked her to complete it with the help of figures, diagrams. And one thing I allowed was just you can take up the help of books. Whatever material is available to you, you can take the help. She went to Google and she searched for the material and she uploaded. Now, this is not my direction. I just asked them to frame a question. I just told them these are the resources available and you have to answer and upload. So EPSET I is identifying the resources and learner-centered activities. So I could identify in October 20 that this is how the student can work on the questions with the help of resources which I identified for them. This is first I of the model. EPSET. EPSET is the Indian framework model for blended learning design. I means identifying resources and learner-centered activities. So I identified the resources, that these are the available content on Google, on different sites. And I asked them that what they can perform. So this was their suggestion that we will write the questions. Then similarly, these students, they responded. And then came that how I should announce for various activities, how they should know that these are the activities they have to perform. So I said, I gave them the link also. So this is the second point. If P is provide resources and announce activities on your learning management system. So I provided resources and I announced the activities on this learning management system. I provided resources and I announced. Now see, every student has written this question. I showed you earlier also. I'm showing you the same question by some other student. You see, I told them you cannot Your question should not look similar. So you can have these many resources, understand and work from your angle. And this candidate, this student performed this manner. Because the second point, पल्लवी जी श्रीनिवास जी का वीडियो ऑफ कर दें.
Okay, ma'am.
Now the student, the same question, see, they call the quality of blended learning. That students are performing the same question, but they are performing with different insights. They are performing with different contents, but different orientation of the contents. Now, this is the second student response to the question, and she has quoted the references also. Now, what is this? This is, when I was teaching them through Google Meet on this Google Classroom, I used to tell, I used to search for them, the material, the sites, I used to tell this is how you should quote the site also. Now, first, I just showed you the answer of first student. She didn't quote, but this girl quoted. I didn't say that you all should do. I was simply doing it. That if I have gone through this site, I am looking for the material from this site, I'm using the material from this site, we should try to write about that site. We should give reference of that. But this, which this student followed, the process is known as scaffolding. The third S of your IPSET. I hope you are getting the model. I hope you are getting the model which I am talking about. This is the blending. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
There was messages in the group. I'm not audible. Okay. So this is scaffolding. The student learned from my conduct and behavior. I was not telling him to do it, but I was doing it. And he was watching me. So it means in blended learning, your conduct, your content, your performance, your interaction is very important, because you're not giving direction here. The learner is imbibing so many things. And that is known as scaffolding. And the scaffolding is in terms of supporting your learners. So I told them that this is how we should report, and this student took up. Now, see how she has done it. You can see this, how she has done it. They have done even the science projects also. They have done these projects under what you call community engagement programs. Now, let me go back. Again, this is how the things were moving. Different directions were being given to them. And again, they were presenting their things for human development. You see, the student has simply written the material. Simply written the material. But the material which she has written is very elaborative. And again, you find that the references are quoted. References are quoted. I never taught them. I simply, while taking everyday Google Meet, I used to tell them, this is how you are going to take up the things. Somebody is editing my screen. Please don't do that. It will spoil. Now here, see. These are the works. Now, you can evaluate the works. You can you have handwritten, presented handwritten also. You have given us on the Word document. Now, see, this is another. Now, see how they have shown me. Are you watching it? That they are writing the same question. But so much of creativity is there. I could not find this creativity in physical mode classroom. I could not find. Please, somebody is spoiling the slide. Please don't do it. Bhanu. Some Bhanu is doing it. Now, this was scaffolding and support to learners. The question was, IPSIT, I. Next is I. So IPSIT model I'm discussing with the help of, with the example of my own Google Classroom slides. First was identifying the resources and learner-centered activities. Second was providing resources and announcing activities on LMS. Third was scaffolding and supporting learners. Fourth is identification of learning gaps and feedback. Now, let's go back and learning gaps and feedback. What I did with this, I asked all the students, there must be some, I asked all the students to go through the works, each of them, and then make the presentation. Because I wanted to understand how they have performed Somebody is written. This is handwritten. Because this student's location was such that he was not able to upload, type, to all these things. What he did, he clicked from his mobile and sent it to somebody else who uploaded. Now see, the students could find a way to do it. They were able to find the way to do their works. Now, I'm trying to show you how they went for the classroom presentations. I asked them that we should understand how we are going to evaluate that. Now, again, one of the students, she felt like comparing, presenting dissimilarities and similarities in terms of first by giving the description and then taking it to comparison. What I'm trying to show you through all this, that I simply gave in a question here and I asked them to work. I gave them the resources. I told them the resources. I told them work on your own, frame the groups, tell me who is working on what. You have to get my approval for that. And they were continuously writing to me that these are the students who will be working on this particular theory. These are the students who will be working on this particular theory. And see, I'm talking of December 20. I'm not talking of today. Today, the things are much, much better. I'm talking of 20. And then in January 21, when I wanted to realize where the gaps are left and what feedback I should give. Now see how the schedule of presentation was taken up by one group. And this one group, they have specified the dates, the topics, and they have specified their roles also. There is one more slide which tells out what these students are going to do in the classroom. You see, this is what testing is. Here, the last T of IPSIT is testing. Here they are tested. How they are going to present, what contents they have to deliver, what resources they have looked for, how the resources have been reported, all things they are doing. Now, this is what IPSIT model. The model came late, but this is how I started doing my things during pandemic. You could see the dates also, isn't it? Now, it is always very difficult to work practically. It is always very easy to collect the information and convert it into knowledge. But if we use it in a practical field, only then we can convert it into knowledge. So this is blending of learning. So in Google Classroom, the best blending of learning takes place, provided you are clear about the IPSIT model. I repeat, you are clear about the IPSIT model. Now here, I is I is identify resources and learner-centered activities. Learner-centered activities. So I identified the resources and I identified learner-centered activities. Then P, provide resources. Because till date, we have been providing the notes either through dictation or through books in our classrooms, in our physical mode classrooms. So, we provide resources and announce activities on LMS. Learning Management System. You have to announce activities. So I kept on asking the students to do the activities, and then I also on the same side kept announcing that what they have to perform. So my everyday task was for 25 minutes I used to have Google Meet, and for rest of the time I used to interact on board with them. Then scaffolding and support to learners. Now, scaffolding means I was very particular, because whatever I will do online with them, they will, because it is visual, so they will inculcate more from visuals and auditory. Now, scaffolding was that I used to perform, and then I used to ask them, okay, today I will stop here. You go online while we are in the classroom, open another window, go online, find out in Google search what resources are available for this particular topic. Now, they used to go online and then they used to discuss. So, scaffolding and then supporting the learners. Then I is identification of gaps. Now, how I used to identify? I used to ask them, write out the questions, what is expected of you to answer. You must have seen while I was scrolling my Google Classroom screen that there were instructions for the students that you have to write the questions which is expected of you to work. Pallavi, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it was expected of the students to write the question. Now, the objective was that I have to identify whether what I want to convey, whether the students are able to pick up the strings. So if they were not able to, then I used to ask them, then what is your perspective?
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Ma'am, are you sharing your screen, ma'am?
Yes.
But we are not able to see, ma'am. It is like plain. We are not able to see anything on the screen. It's just plain slide, ma'am.
No, I was. How then? What to do about it? Should I stop sharing and again share? Is it
yes,
like that?
Please.
Okay, I have written the points here and nothing is visible to you. I was
Yes,
writing on
yes,
the
ma'am.
board.
No,
Okay,
ma'am, we can't see, ma'am.
no issues. I'll stop sharing. And then again, I will share the screen. Okay. Is it okay? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
IPSIT, Indian Framework. Let me write it completely. Indian Framework for BL, blended. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Learning. Right? So this is the Indian Framework for Blended Learning. IPSIT, identify resources and learner-centered activities. P, provide resources and announce activities on LMS. S, scaffolding and support to learners. I, identification of gaps and feedback. And T, testing. Now, testing is not possible by asking them to appear for exam or something, but testing was possible. I thought the best testing is ask them to make the groups and do the presentations of the units we have completed. So this was the model which I used for my Google Classroom teaching during complete lockdown. So this was the testing. अब दिख रहा है? Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. We can see, ma'am.
Okay. So this was the testing which I asked the students to do it. This is what IPSIT model is for blended learning. Now, this is the model which I have discussed with you. And now I'll share another content with you. I hope it is visible.
We can see IPSIT, ma'am. IPSIT slide.
Only IPSIT slide. Okay. So it means again I have to stop sharing and then go back to this. Okay, I'll do that. I'll stop sharing. Again, I'll share the screen. And now I'll go. Okay, I'll share later. Let me share this first. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Now, see that Google Classroom slide I was showing you, it was of the time when I wanted to blend, when there was total lockdown and we were new to this blending of resources for our classroom teaching, learning, evaluation. Now, today, the situation has advanced to such an extent that we want that we should have our video lectures, our content uploaded on some platform from where the students can learn independently and any of the students can learn. For that, I created one content, e-content, and look at this. Everybody must be knowing about normal probability curve. And I have, written this NPC, a small content with so many small tidbits See, this is the rule set I have derived, meaning thereby, whosoever will learn it independently on his own through my e-content, he must know all these things regarding NPC. Every small thing, every small feature is mentioned here. Every small feature is mentioned here. This is how the whole feature is mentioned. See, every small, every small area is mentioned here. That this is what you are expected to do, to know. This is what you're expected to do, to know. Now see, it is hardly NPC, small NPC. And this is the behavior expected of you. It's all self-declared material. I could not think this way in December 2020. But the way we kept practicing, interacting, I realized that when it is course content is very tough, and your objectives, your outcomes, then have to be very small units. Then we have to write about that concept along with the expected outcomes. Even this outcome is essential. Read the table for area corresponding to Z values. Read the table. Even this is the outcome. Not only calculating. Had it in a physical mode class, we have been focusing on that only. But since it's a blended mode class, and in blended mode, we have to be now overcautious about the content write-up, what I'm presenting in my write-ups. So every small thing is written here, read. Then, what I'm expecting of you, when you're coming for this particular content, and I'm not there in the class, it is, I have simply uploaded that, and now you are going through it. What is expected before you take up this content? It is very much visible here. Then instructions. This is how the bits will appear to you, and this is how the every frame will be coming to you. Now see how I've written. I've written after you have read a frame. It means the learner is not finding me absent from the classroom. Because when the learner will read, after you have read a frame, so he will realize, oh, teacher is telling me. After you have read the frame, this is what is expected of you. And if you do not say this, it means it is false. And then another instruction you see here. Do not make a haste. Take your own time to read each frame and write response. So, even we know that students do haste. Students, conduct so many mistakes because of the hasty behavior, careless behavior. So, we have to address to that behavior in blended mode classroom in our text. Because we are in blending mode, we are giving the text for very tough topic. We cannot refer the tough topic that you go through this particular site or you go through this particular ebook or OER. No. There we have to ensure that my learner is able to learn and attain the outcomes which are specified for the learner. So even This much instruction is there. After, see, do not skip over any frame. Do not feel scared. See, this is even better. So, what I want to say is that when we are blending, when you are writing on the part of course content, you have to write. Yesterday also I told you, every frame has to be complete in itself. So you have to write in this. You have to imagine that you are in the classroom, and while you are in the classroom, how you will go through it and how your learners will respond to it. So this is how the things are written, but small text. That is the NPC. Every small step is being explained in such a detailed manner. I want to show you that how you personalize, how you make it interactive. You know that in distribution, see how it is written. I haven't written in the following distribution. I haven't written there. But I've written, you know that in distribution, probability is the ratio of so and so. So I am not writing in such a manner that they don't feel connected. You have seen by now. I'm not starting from a curve depicts decimal frequency, fill in the blanks. I'm not saying that. Did I say it? No, I didn't. Because the moment I say fill in the blanks, it is an instruction. But here I'm giving a connection. You have seen by now that which curve depicts. You have seen by now. So I'm addressing to their learning. I'm addressing to their learning. Right? So I believe that, let me stop sharing here. Let me share with you the template part also. This is how the course you are planning to. You can use this small template. This is talking about the whole course structure. You can talk about the way I told you, the small component entries. Now, if you've got your material ready, you can say who is the instructor, what is the institute, which program you're going for, which course you're going for, what credits, marks, size, what are the prerequisites? What are the prerequisites? The prerequisites in terms of what? In terms of your infrastructure, in terms of your behavior of the learners, in terms of their cognitive span, all prerequisites. Whatever you feel. There is, you see, I haven't written anything here. Prerequisite is your imagination. What do you want your learner should come with in the classroom? Whether it is the laptop, whether it is mobile, whether it is none of these, you are simply going to tell them, make them write the sites, go back their home and work on it. Whatever is the prerequisite you want your learner to be. Objectives of, not course, you take it objective of your classroom. Dated so and so. So, for example, objective of my classroom, dated 17th March. The objective is only one. Let everybody understand what is a template for blended learning design. And before we fill the template, we must have all the ingredients with us. Before we fill the template, we must have all the ingredients with us. And what are those ingredients? Number one, the content I'm going to teach. Number two, the content learners are going to learn. Number three, the activities which they are going to perform in their locale, the activities which I am going to design for them. E-content which I am going to write for them in an interactive manner. How many Google Meets I'm going to plan with them if I'm having 5 classes per week? Which platform I'm going to use? Which learning management system I'm going to use? In this particular class teaching, what type of evaluation I'm going to follow? Now, what we are doing? We are collecting the ingredients. How I'm going to use different type of blending tools. Am I going to use email? Am I going to use WhatsApp? I'm going to use YouTube. Am I going to use open education resource? What tools I'm going to use? So I'm collecting all the ingredients. And then I go for the blending of the things. I start filling up my template. I start filling up of my template. Okay. Now, this is how we are going to do. Then, here is the detailed plan. And in detailed plan also, you can customize according to yourself. There's nothing very specific. The customization is that you have to tell that in my today's class, like March 17th March, what I have customized that I'll be talking about few important points of blended learning, and then I will be taking all the participants through my journey, that how I blended my classroom, how the blending of my today's classroom is the result of evolution. How slowly and slowly from March 2020 till date, how I have built up my blended classroom, and how I have initialized the IPSIT design, best for our Indian settings. So this is I said that how I'm going to do online. I cannot go face to face, but how I'm going to do online with all this, and then how I customize these physical face-to-face mode by putting on my video and by sharing my few of the PowerPoints and then few of the slides and my own learning management system features of my students, their work, their task, and how they grouped, how they presented their works on the Google Classroom. So that was my detailed plan for today. Similarly, you have to write it down. You have to pen down the plans, what you have to work. So with this, I will stop sharing, and I would like to know how you are doing, or what customization. I'll stop sharing here. Yeah. I would like to know how you are doing and how you are customizing in your classroom with respect to blended learning. I have discussed the template which I worked for myself, and I believe the template is it is very successfully working in my today's classroom only. Today only, I took one decision in my with respect to one of my courses, field experience program. The one of the student of my class, early childhood care education, she delivered a child yesterday. And next week, we are going to have field experience program, and she has gone to her mother's place. And she came with this thing that I want permission from you if I can do this field internship program at my place. So that was a big question. Today only in the morning, I was working for the modalities, how I can do about it. So I called my BOC meeting. I discussed the events there. This is how the student is feeling. And we cannot give the, that is a mandatory part of our program. So we'll not give the certificate if she doesn't happen to attend this experience program. So we worked out, we asked her with school suits to her, and then we contacted that school people, and now we have asked her to ask somebody to bring the qualifications of that person who is heading the school, how we can authorize him to be mentor of that our candidate, how he's going to report to us about the activities, how we are going to have it online also. When she's performing the activities, we would like to have her videos. She will upload that. I mean, in today's meeting, we try to work on this. So this is how the advancement in blending is coming up. This was the problem faced by one of the student of that particular program, and this blending is helping everywhere. Why not in this situation also? So we are working on the qualities which should not be, compromised by blending. Blending should not compromise on the qualities. That is very important. So this is how we are working. Okay. So I would like to know how you think now. Are you blending in the classrooms? Are you doing the same way I have explained? Or you are having some more experiences to share, or a few more things to tell? You can unmute and please tell. Pallavi, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You may please unmute and tell if you want to share.
Participants, kindly raise your hand so that we can unmute you. Or in chat box. Yes.
Participants have raised hand. Amir Sohail has raised hand.
Yes. Yes, please. You can just you can share your query.
Almost all the participants say, most of the participants say, somebody has asked, what is the difference between outcome and output? Dr. K. Surya Narayan. Outcome and output. Okay, very good question. Output is, I say, I have taught you what is blended learning. Now, I ask you a question. Define blended learning. I gave you a definition. Now, I am asking you, define the definition of blended learning. That is output. Most of the students, I'll come to your question, Vidhana. And when you say outcome, it means I have not talked to you the definition of blended learning, but I have given you a platform where you can also explore blended learning. I've told you how we can go far and far with that. I've shared with you my experience, how I started blending in my classroom, right from after June 2020. And this is what outcome is. And how you will be using all this information, discussion in your classroom now, that will be outcome. So output is what you taught and what you reported back. So outcome is not what you taught and you reported back. Outcome is what you presented, what you discussed, what you elaborated, and how the things have moved on to improve the system further. That is outcome. So outcome is life-based. Outcome is life, solution to life problems. Outcome is living in your present life. So the question keeps running. Okay, then is there's one question. I'll come to your question as well.
There is a question from Dr. V. Dhanaraju.
Yeah.
Most of the students keep their mobile silent mode and leave the class. How do you overcome it?
Yes, it's very, very difficult task. Blended learning, I would say that, Dr. Vidana, that, the moment we talk of online learning, the moment we talk of blended learning, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The moment we talk of blended learning, the moment we talk of online learning, one thing is very clear, that we have to inculcate self-discipline and self-regulated learning among us. We cannot control the students that they have to, they are not to keep the mobiles on silent mode or this muted mode, and they may leave the class, or they may put on their, class on and they are not in the class virtually. So we cannot control that. We have to inculcate among them the self-discipline and self-regulated learning. This is becoming important every day. That is, I could not find any solution to this, but I have found one solution, that I keep connecting with them every moment. At the moment you keep connecting with them every moment, then what you find? You find that slowly and slowly they are coming to you. You keep giving meaning to them. Make them realize that there's a meaningful learning happening around them, which is helping them to lead their life. So they start coming. I tell them, okay, you come with the work and activities you could perform here. And then they start working on it. It's really difficult nowadays to bring the students on the classroom. Okay, thank you. Silent mode. Record. There was one more question. Yes, outcome cannot be measured in physical terms, while output can be. And Dr. Suleiman, is our objective is to give them marks? 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 10 out of 10? Or our objective is to develop critical thinking skills among them? Our objective is to develop presentation skills among them, observation skills among them, Our objective is to develop higher order thinking skills among them. Our objective is to develop them into independent, productive citizens of nation. Our objective is to develop among them self-regulated learning behaviors. What is our objective? A student having 90% in technology is not able to perform in the field. Is it our objective? Or we want that students should be able to perform in the field, should be able to solve the problems. That is our objective. If our objective is that students should have self-regulated learning, they should be self-reliant, self-sufficient, then outcome is to be there. And outcome can be measured. It can be measured by giving them. See, when I was showing you my Google Classroom, then I was continuously telling the students, okay, you raise the question, you write the question, you make the groups, you find out who is going to do what, how they're going to present. Look, they are doing on their own, and I'm assisting. Then present your work also, or upload your work. The same question performed by so many, I showed you 2-3 examples. The same question is performed. I'm not giving them any notes, I'm just telling them the sources. Now, every student is presenting the question from his own perspective. So my objective was that all must know how to present their work, how to go online, upload in my Google Classroom, how to take the feedbacks, and how to improve them. So they have done it. So in this manner, the outcome is measured. We have to talk of qualitative evaluative techniques now. Gone are the days when we used to talk about the marks only. We have to undertake what skills and behaviors and attitudes they are having. Only then we will fulfill the national sustainable development goals. Then what more questions are there? 3 more questions are there. Does all academic subjects
support blending learning? Does all academic subjects support blending
learning? Might or might not support open learning? Yes, that's very much there. That all academic subjects, they cannot be supported by blended learning. But let us go for this medical profession. Let us go for engineering profession. Wherever in-depth study of certain concepts or contents or phenomena is required, we can go online. We can give the resources. We can locate the resources for the learners. We can tell them, these are the concepts and contents we want you to understand from these particular angles. We can give them those questions. That these are the angles, these are the perspectives from which you should understand this particular concept. Here are the resources. Go online. And then when it is practical, when we are talking of practical activities, then they should come in face-to-face mode. Then they should come in face-to-face mode. So blending is taking place, whether it is medical. Now in medical industry, certain concepts, you have to develop your cognitive domain. For developing cognitive domain, you can go online. Isn't it? But for developing the cognitive domain, for developing the, to larger extent, effective domain as well, you cannot go online. So hence, all the academic subjects can go in blended mode, but the percentage will vary. Are you getting my point? The percentage will vary. You can go in blended mode, but the percentage will vary with how much cognitive domain you want them to understand, to have in-depth knowledge, and what practical domains they have. All the practical domains you have to undertake face-to-face. But I will tell you, the aeronautical engineers, they go for online training, virtual classroom training, before they come in the field for actual training. So blended is there also. Right? I hope I could reach you all. There's another standard. Educational standard and backward in technology is comparatively low in rural areas. To which extent blended learning is suitable? Yes, Nagalakshmi, Dr. Nagalakshmi. That's very much correct. When we talk of digital divide, the rural comes first. They are, I mean, at so much of receiving end, I would say. But in rural areas, how we can blend? Just yaad karo. We are having 32 DTH channels. Now, those DTH channels are serving for lots of content. In rural areas, if we are having internet connectivity issues, in rural areas, if we are having no learning management system can work, there we can go for these informative channels. We must know their timings, we must know the content available on that, and we can ask our students to listen, to see that. One, second, we as a teacher can have resource wherein we can undertake recordings and then show it to our students in offline mode. Right? We can be the resource to blend. We cannot ask our students, rural students, to go for blending, but we will be a resource to them for that. This is how we can take up. So, every moment, every time you have to think how to blend. You have to be very creative and innovative for that. Blending is there. We have to come ahead of it. National Policy of Education says blending of online and offline. Okay. Now policy came 2020. Now it's 22. We have to come ahead because we have to customize, because we have to reach the goals and the outcomes. That is our vision. So blending is there. I hope I could reach you.
Yes, ma'am. I think we can wind up now. Yes. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your engaging lecture. And I'm sure all our participants, they too feel the same, that the kind of experiences you have shared, like what you do in your classroom and the Google Sheets and all the work which you have done, you have shared with us. And definitely it is going to help all of us. And on the behalf of Center for Staff Training, Dr. Brau and Samka, I would like to thank you, ma'am. And I also on the behalf of the participants, thank you for your valuable time and very useful insights, ma'am. Thank you for accepting our invitation. And I also thank all the participants for your active engagement. And thank you, ma'am, for patiently answering all the queries. Thank you so much. And I request Dr. Solomon to give further instructions to the participants. Thank you, one and all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Pallavi. And thank you, Dr. Brock, for inviting me on this platform and interacting with your participants. Hope to see you again on some other platforms.
Thank you. Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
So thank you, Professor Deepa, for the wonderful interactive session. Now there are a few announcements, but before I make those announcements, in case you have got certain other queries with regard to this program and you'd like to interact with our director, Professor Ganda Chakrapani, he is there for you, available. In case you'd like to ask him any questions, you can please ask him. He is there for you right now. I request the participants, in case they have any queries, you can ask the director CSTD who is present in this session.
Thank you, Solomon. Thank you very much for organizing this program and coordinating it. Pallavi, also, I extend my thanks from CSTD. Yeah, so far, I think it's overwhelming. All the resource persons are delivered their lectures in very fruitful manner. If at all any queries regarding the program, schedules, assessment, and other issues, I think you can ask me. On behalf of CSTD, I'd like to once again thank Deepaji and also Professor Rajshekhar Garu and all other participants, for 2 hours, with very lot of interest. Everybody is very active. I'm just looking at your responses. Yeah, very constantly, we are getting this kind of questions like, whether this program is, if we complete this, whether it is eligible for CAS or not. In fact, UGC has developed certain norms to encourage these kind of programs, like, IT initiated or blended learning related teaching learning practices. And they are suggesting all the teachers must train in this in this kind of trainings and all. But considering for CAS, it depends upon the state government. If somebody represents to your respective education departments, particularly your education secretary or education minister, in some states like Uttarakhand and other places, and even for open universities, they are considering it for CAS, and internally they are allocating some marks, and sometimes they are treating this training as on par with your academic staff college trainings. So that depends upon our governments and administration, and particularly our education management in the particular state. Andhra and Telangana governments, if no, I think last time also this question this question was raised by some participants. And then also we advised them to represent to the respective governments. Thank you. If there is no any further discussion or questions, I would like to tell you tomorrow there is no class because of Holy Festival, and again we meet day after tomorrow. It's on 19th. Vasuki Belavadi, he will join us, and he'll discuss on the issue of assessment in online and assessment in blended learning. Yeah, one more, I think. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, somebody is writing about last year MOOCs program. Last time we have conducted a program on preparation of lectures for MOOCs. Good. Thank you for your compliments and appreciations. Yeah, regarding program, if you have any doubts or any queries. Yeah, in fact, many people are joining and they are calling me for delay in our communication and all, particularly from Andhra Pradesh state. Yes, we are planning to have one more session, probably in the month of April. It will depend upon SEMCA's readiness, and if they agree, definitely we conduct one more program. Any other queries? Yes, regarding assessment, yes, generally it is Google Sheet assessment, simple feedback kind of assessment form we are developing. Maybe on each lecture there will be 2 or 3 random kind of questions, and also assessment on overall program delivery and program structure and everything. It is very simple, multiple choice kind of questions will be there. Once you fill that and complete that process, and once you fill that Google form, and once you submit the feedback only, you will get your pausing. Okay. Yeah, why we have introduced this is it is part of our assessment system, and we are doing this to do some justice to those who have participated. Now, so far we have received around 500 registrations, but every day only roughly 200 candidates are joining. So based on this, we have decided to give those who genuinely participated, we must acknowledge their participation, as well as we must give a kind of certificate to them. So that's why we are developing a kind of assessment sheet, and I think we will share that on the last day of our training program. By day after tomorrow, the first part of training, the overall concepts and introductory aspects of blended learning, and particularly designing and delivery part. Today and yesterday, Dr. Deepaji explained all the templates and everything. Accordingly, you have to plan. Anyway, you have 2 days holidays, tomorrow and on Sunday. You can on your own. You can based on the template today discussed. You can develop your own lesson, your own topic, and where next week we are going to discuss about multimedia aspects and IT related aspects, and how to make YouTube thing, and how to make visuals, and how to make audio editing, and all that aspects. So both is put together. I think definitely by the end of this training, you will get complete idea of blended learning and making blended learning templates, with all meaningful components. I think I'll stop here. I request my colleague Ravindranath Solomon to give you remaining instructions and wind up the program for today. Thank you, Ravindranath.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, so that's all for today, dear participants. Then tomorrow, as you have been already informed, that tomorrow is a holiday on the occasion of Holi. So we'll all meet again day after tomorrow, exactly at 3 o'clock, and at which time we are going to have Professor Vasuki with us, and he is going to talk about the assessment part of the lessons, and he's going to talk about assessment in blended learning. So I request all of you to be present exactly at 3 o'clock on 19th. So happy Holi and have a happy and safe Holi. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.